Hey everyone, welcome to another Stukent expert session. My name is Trevor Erickson, and we're here today with the co-founder of mCordis, Paul Berney. Paul has over 14 years of experience in the mobile marketing industry, and today he's going to talk to us about mobile programmatic advertising and the amazing way that computers decide what ads to put in front of us. So without any further ado, let's turn the time over to Paul.
Thanks, Trevor, and hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you this afternoon. So today we're going to go through an introduction to mobile programmatic advertising. And that really should be of interest to anybody who's looking at working in the digital advertising space or the digital marketing space. So let me just advance my slides here. So what are we going to cover in this short module today? Three things. First of all, we're going to give you an introduction to the role of mobile programmatic advertising and why brands are using it. Secondly, an overview of the most popular types of mobile advertising. And thirdly, and crucially, an explanation of how programmatic advertising works, how it's brought the ecosystem of companies that make it possible, and why it should be of interest to all of you. Let's start right at the beginning, though. Mobile has both amazing reach in terms of the sheer numbers, but crucially, I think that reach is with individual consumers. So it's not a mass media channel in the sense that the others are. Reach is one of the three key benefits that mobile advertising can therefore tap into. It also has the ability to engage with consumers in ways that other channels can't match, and that reach and engagement together offers marketers a very strong ROI, and we'll look at all three of those in this webinar. We should also start by looking at some of the sheer numbers, and we'll probably only just do this just once within this webinar. But mobile, as I said, has huge reach. So more than a quarter of all media time, full stop, is spent in mobile. And almost a third of all digital advertising spend is in mobile. Programmatic advertising is the vast majority of that, some $24 billion a year. And the amount being spent on programmatic is continuing to rise this year as it has every year for the last 4 or 5 years. So just to be clear right from the start, mobile advertising in its most simple terms is just the paid placement of your marketing message in somebody else's media. So as we said right at the start, mobile has massive reach, but because it's delivered to an individual device, mobile advertising allows one-to-one communication and engagement. More so, if we think about it, what mobile allows us to do, and mobile advertising in particular, is deliver personalization at scale and reach people with a different and highly differentiated and highly relevant message. And that personalization and engagement also extends to the ways in which consumers can interact with mobile advertising, because it takes advantages of the device, and you can see a number of those on the screen. We're familiar with the idea of using all of these different interactivities with our mobile device, whatever it is, and so we know instinctively how to engage with the advertising. And that interactivity encouraging engagement means that, crucially, what mobile advertising can do very well is capture intent. Now, probably somewhere within other webinars and other parts of this course you've looked at, we can look at the different types of mobile advertising that exist, but I think it's worth just mentioning what are the most 5 popular forms of mobile advertising, just giving a quick explanation of those before we go into talking about programmatic. So if we set aside search, which is obviously where a lot of advertising dollars goes, then within mobile websites and mobile apps, combined, the most popular types of advertising are the banner ad, which appears at fixed points in a page or within an app, interstitials, which take over an entire website page or an entire page within an app, video advertising, where the ads can appear as both pre-roll and post-roll of other video content, native advertising, which typically appears within the feed of your social media sites or within social media apps, and then finally rich media advertising. And that essentially means that you can combine with any of the above things, but then you're also using the capabilities and the abilities of devices so you can touch the screen and actually interact with the advertising. And mobile advertising is also very strong because it also has the ability to have this great call to action within it that, as I mentioned, can take advantage of the capabilities of the handset or the device in order to let you take a next step within that call to action. So quite commonly within mobile advertising, we see things like tap on the advert to visit a mobile site, or start a call, start to send an SMS, add something to your calendar, open a video, open a map, or even start an email. So if we move on to look then at programmatic advertising in particular, the traditional advertising world is one where you bought your advertising in bulk, so that every single advert that you bought from a publisher or from a TV station or a radio station had the same value, and you bought all of those in order to appeal to a wide demographic audience. What's really different in the programmatic advertising world is that programmatic allows you to purchase individual adverts or impressions on a single basis. So it allows you, rather than having to buy, reaching every single person who's watching one individual TV show, it allows you to reach one individual at a time. So in this way, the really big crucial difference is that programmatic advertising is audience-centric rather than publisher or site-centric. So let's look at the way in which programmatic advertising works. Essentially what it does is it brings together multiple suppliers and multiple advertisers through automated platforms. On one side here on the slide, you've got people on the left-hand side, the suppliers of mobile advertising. These are typically publishers that offer their ad space or their ad inventory for sale on a supply-side platform, or an SSP. And on the other side, you have the people who want to buy that mobile advertising, advertisers, brands, their agencies, and they can search for and target their audience through a demand-side platform, or a DSP as it's called. And this process is usually facilitated by an ad exchange that sits in the middle of these two things. So what programmatic advertising does is it allows you to use technology to automate the buying and selling of a single impression or a single advert. And typically that buying and selling takes place in real time through a process that's called real-time bidding. And it works exactly the same way as the auctions that sell search advertising. But there is a pretty big crucial difference with it. So here's what happens. You as the consumer pick up your mobile device and you enter the website address of a site you want to go to, or you open up an app. And at the moment you go to a website, the publisher of that website sends out what's called a bid request. And that bid request is basically some details of, here is the person that's opening the advert, here is the device they've got, there's some limited personal information about who you are, and they send that bid request to an ad exchange. The ad exchange then adds extra contextual data that allows people to better target. So the ad exchange may say, and actually we know that this person is interested in soccer, and we know that this person is in this particular location, and this is the time of day, and this is some other details in terms of demographics we know. All of those details are then put up for the ability of people to bid on them in real time. And so what happens is that people who want to reach a particular audience can then bid on that and then say, I want my advert to be served. Now here's the big crucial difference. That entire process takes place in under 120 milliseconds, or 3 times faster than it takes you to blink your eye. So that's an incredibly fast process, and obviously, as you can see, just by even this simplified diagram says there are lots of different people involved in the ecosystem and who facilitate making that happen. So let's look at each of those in terms. The crucial part is in the middle here, the ad exchange. So the role of the ad exchange is to make the whole process work. They have to manage billions of impressions or adverts. So they have to manage the traffic. They have to offer a means of getting to every single source of advertising. They have to manage all of the complexity of the process and obviously maintain everything at a pretty high quality. And they also have to offer the advertisers some form of reporting so that there's complete transparency around the process. The ad exchanges sell the advertising, generally speaking, in one of three ways. They can either sell through blind networks, where the advertiser or the brand that's placing an advert can't see whether ads are being placed, but instead they focus on the volume of advertising sold. Or a premium blind network, where the goal is still around volume, but the advertiser can restrict some of the potential sites where their adverts might appear. So the advertiser may say, I want to buy advertising in volume, but I don't want my adverts to appear anywhere alongside adult material, perhaps, or gambling material. The third type of advertising that you can buy is premium advertising, and this works the same way as any other media. You're buying a specific named site and location in the same way that you might buy television or print media. You're saying, I want to place my advertising perhaps within the Newsweek or New York Times site, and you buy specifically for that. And as you might imagine, as you move from left to right across these slides, the more to the right you go, the more expensive that advertising becomes. So let's look at the ways in which you can buy from the ad networks. There are principally 5 different ways. There's a cost per impression. That's where you as the advertiser pay for every single advert that is served. A cost per click, where, as the name suggests, you only pay every time a user clicks on an advert. A cost per action, where you can stipulate, this is what I'm prepared to pay for. So I'm prepared to pay for people who will click on my advert and then download and install my app, for instance. A cost per visit, where you pay for every single consumer who then goes on to visit a specific physical location. Or an interesting new variant of all of these is cost per swipe, where the advertiser only pays if the consumer swipes upon an advert. So it's worth noting that the demand-side platforms in the programmatic world only really sell on a CPM basis. So they'll sell cost per impression. That's their most important selling mechanism. So let's look at the role that DSP plays. And in some ways, the demand-side platform matches the capabilities of ad networks. And you know, there are some times when you can buy, as an advertiser, you can buy directly from the publisher or the ad net or the advertising holder, rather than going through an ad network. So DSPs can buy from multiple ad exchanges, and they manage automated bidding and the whole buying process. They can also analyze the inventory available to determine the best adverts to build on. But they do principally 5 things. They help with audience selection, so they provide targeting tools. They help with campaign management, so they manage all of the tools that you can use to bid for the advertising that you want to buy. They help manage conversion tracking and optimization, so they look at the way in which your advertising is working when you're buying it and help you find ways to improve the spend. They help with retargeting, so they'll find advertiser and third-party data to find lookalike audiences for the ones that you're already advertising to and help you buy that. And then finally, they help with reporting to improve your understanding and to improve the ROI of the advertising you're borrowing. Then our final thing is, it's worth also looking at the fact that mobile has multiple different capabilities that will allow a brand to better target who they're selling their advertising to. Essentially, what brands really want to do is they want to send the right message to the right person, the right time, and the right place. So that can come from combining multiple different points of information or contextual data so that you can really reach the smallest possible audience, even down to the audience of one. So that might include targeting specific handsets or a specific location or a specific demographic or knowing something about the behavior of the person. So really, in the end, what you want to be able to do is to say, I want to buy advertising that it will reach a specific person, specific time, and specific place. So let's give you an example of that. Traditional advertising may say around Super Bowl time, well, I want to show my ad in the middle of the Super Bowl halftime show to reach the biggest possible audience. Programmatic advertising might say, actually, I want to reach people who during halftime are looking at the website of their favorite team while the game is on. They're looking at individual statistics about how about players are performing. We know that they are in a specific city. We know that they are in their home address. And we know that they have also in the past subscribed to services that allow them to watch the home games of their team. So that's a much different type of reaching people at the right time and right place, and what that generally speaking is called contextual relevance. So we use all the capabilities that mobile can give us to target exactly the right audience. So in summary, there are three key learning points here that we should think about when we're looking at the advantages of programmatic advertising and why it's interesting to brands. Mobile advertising has lots of different forms and formats, and it has actually quite a complicated ecosystem that you need to follow to understand, so you can understand how an SSP, a DSP, and an ad network work all in conjunction together. Rich media, video, and native advertising are the most popular types of advertising, and they're the ones that are getting the best results. And more than anything else, we need to remember that programmatic advertising is audience-centric and allows brands to send highly targeted messages. Thanks, and I hope that helps you all have a much better, quick understanding to what mobile advertising is.